Welcome back, fellow grievers. And this episode, I want to talk about having compassion for yourself and putting into place a practical plan. So, welcome back, my friends. And the last few weeks, I have not got an episode out. We have been doing the end of the summer, crazy busy things. It's been jumping from thing to thing, as I'm sure a lot of you can understand and relate to. So, I wanted to talk today about just that, right? Like how life keeps going on and how, in the midst of that, part of the thing that we have to do is we have to compartmentalize a little bit to be able to function. And so when we do that, we can look at that and we can kind of get into a habit, a routine of pushing things to the side and just going on with life until it starts to kind of rear its ugly head in other ways. Or it can feel like we're trying all day. I mean, it's different variations of that, but it might be like we can go a couple weeks or so and then it comes up. Or it's like every day feels like it's kind of a struggle in itself and we're pushing it aside. But as soon as we have a quiet time at night or maybe in the shower in the morning, it's just like it all comes bubbling back up again. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how normal it is and really what to do about that. So when we are grieving, a lot of the things that we deemed important and that took up a lot of our time, we no longer feel are that important. For example, little like tiffs that maybe you had with somebody, it was like, oh my gosh, that's so stupid. I don't have the energy at the time to even think about that anymore. I've moved on from it. Somebody might be talking about like remodeling their house and like how stressful it is and how much like the noise is and all the things are going through it. And it's like, okay, well, I just lost a loved one. So like that's stressful and that's hard, right? Like just those things that like normally we would be understanding and have compassion for. We kind of lose that. And what it does is it brings up all of the things that a lot of times as humans, we don't really look at or even acknowledge are there because it doesn't affect us until it does. And so, again, this is just normal. This is a human thing, right? What you're going through and what you're struggling with is your focus. What somebody else is going through and struggling with is their focus. And we get kind of on these tracks where, like, that's what our mind goes to. So that's what we want to talk about, which again is completely normal. But what I want to talk about is when we try to, like, all this is going on, and then we are also trying to hold the feelings of grief down. And I always think of it as a beach ball. If you're trying to push this beach ball underwater, it doesn't work, right? Because it just keeps popping back up. Because the airspace that's in the beach ball like it doesn't sink. It won't just mesh into the water. It's buoyant. It's gonna pop up. And so the same with our grief. We can try all day and for weeks at a time to keep trying to push it down. And what happens is it pops up and maybe sometimes in ways that we're not expecting. For me, a big one was like I was just angry. Little things that in the past maybe would have annoyed me, really set me off. And then there was other things where it's like I could go to work as a hospice nurse, I could problems and home health nurse, I could problem solve and I could do all the things all day. And I'd come home and my husband would say one thing and it wouldn't even be like hurtful or mean. It would just he would say something like, "Oh, how was your day?" And I would just burst into tears. Because I was focusing all my energy on pushing down the beach ball and just compartmentalizing that or trying to throughout the day, that then when I couldn't hold it down any longer, it would just come up. So it would come up like that, sadness, tears. It would come up like in anger, where then I would be like, well, how do you think my day was? Like, Like I worked all day, I did all these things, and then I came home and like the dishes weren't done, the kids are a mess, right? Like you didn't do anything to help, right? Like so like I started to notice like, oh my gosh. And my husband would even say like, I don't know what's happening, but like you need to figure this out. And again, we have a little bit of a different story in our relationship where some of that was, I think, him deflecting and not focusing on his problems, right? Like he also was trying to hold his own beach ball underwater. And I was also at the time, and we just didn't have much space or room for each other. So, what I want you to do is I want you to look at this and I want you to say, okay, yes, this is what I've been doing and this is what I have done. And I want you to have such compassion for that because again, our nervous system, I've talked about this a little bit in the past, like our nervous system response is what it is. We have already trained ourselves to respond in a certain way when we interpret danger or something's going to happen. Like we're ready to protect ourselves. And so those nervous system responses are the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and fix responses. And so you probably just have one or two that are kind of your go-to moves, and specifically probably one that you gravitate more towards. And maybe a second one, can pop up occasionally. But you're just like, oh, that's how I am. That's who I am. I try to fix it. I try to dive in and try to help everybody else. Meanwhile, I'm going through the same thing and I'm not looking at myself in the same light as I would look at a friend or a different family member. Maybe it is the flight response where anytime that something goes wrong, you just have the response where like you're just going to check out. Whether it be as you physically remove yourself and you drive away, you leave, or you check out like I'm just going to pull up my phone. I'm not going to deal with that right now, right? Like so how we respond is how we respond. That has been kind of programmed in since we were babies and infants. But now, as you're an adult, hopefully you're an adult listening to this, as you're an adult, you get to decide if that's how you want to show up or not anymore, if that's working for you. And so once we become aware of that, again, first I want you to just have compassion and say, yes, yep, I tend to just run away from my problems. I don't want to deal with it. I pretend like everything's fine. And then it kind of comes out in other ways where like I scroll on my phone a lot, or I procrastinate, or I don't make any hard decisions because I don't want to, right? Like that might be how you respond and be like, that's not a problem. That's just who I am. That's just how my mind grew. That's how I cultivated being safe and how I coped. And so, like, that's not a problem. But now I get to look at that and I get to choose, do I want to keep showing up that way? Is it still beneficial for me to keep running from everything? Is it more beneficial if maybe I start looking at some of these things so I can start getting a different result in my life? And I think we can feel that. We can know when the time is right for us to grow or to not grow. And I've heard this a couple times in the last week. So I'm like, okay, I think I need to start thinking about this and take it to heart maybe a little bit that we're not always meant to grow. A lot of times, like, there's all these different programs and things we can do, and oh, we should do this workout video, and oh, we should join this Bible study, and oh, we should be doing this, right? And our brain looks at that and be like, well, you should, you should, you should, you should, you should be doing that. Look at, if you're not, you're failing. But the reality is that there are times where it's time to be in maintenance mode. You don't have to grow during that season of your life because there's other things going on. So, an example of this could be you've had a sudden death happen, or there's been multiple people that have died, and your brain is sitting there saying, well, if you should just be more organized. Well, the kids are going back to school. You should have gotten this stuff already. You should be on the ball with this. You should have gotten their sports physicals. Oh, by the way, like you should eat more vitamins. How about some more protein? Like that would help you. right? Like your brain is just throwing up all these things to say, this is what we need you to be safe. And it may or not be true, right? Like, sure, we know that if we sleep, we drink water, and we exercise or get some sort of movement, overall as humans, we function a little bit better. But this might not be the season that God is calling you to. God might be calling you to just stay and stand still and not start growing and throwing in all these other things. And so I just want to come on here and say, like, for one, let's have compassion for our nervous systems and how we've developed and how we've grown over the years. And yes, we can look at that and we can start making changes. Or maybe God is calling us to just say, hey, I just want to maintain where I'm at right now. Now is not the season to start adding in all these things. And I was coaching somebody this morning, and she is starting like a new homeschool co-op group type thing. It's going to have different requirements this year. She has younger kids. She's not sleeping that great. And she's like, well, I feel like I have to do all these things, right? Like now's the time I should be adding in exercise. And it's like, well, maybe not. Like maybe for the next 3 to 4 months, you're just in maintenance mode. And it was like oh, yeah. And it allowed her to give herself permission to not have to add in the things. So I just want to say, like, if that's what you need is permission to just be in maintenance mode, I give you full permission. I give you full permission to say, yeah, you know what? Now's not the time to start taking an hour in the morning to do prayer. Maybe right now, I'm just going to maintain that I get up and I say, thank you, Lord, for another day. And I'm going to go about my day, right? Like maybe now is not the time to be adding in a bunch of things. And knowing that, we can always reassess in 2 or 3 months. You can always look at that and say, yeah, life does feel a little bit calmer. It feels a little bit better. I don't have to do everything at once, right? Because the other issue is our brain tells us we have to do everything at once, and then we dive in and it's too much. And so then we go back to doing nothing. But if we give ourselves permission to stay where we're at, it feels so much better. It feels so peaceful. So that's what I want you guys to kind of have as your takeaway today is to have compassion and not judge yourself for what you needed to do to get through maybe those first few days or weeks or months after your loved one died. You were coping. You were doing the best you could with the information you had. You were doing the best you could with a brain that was already trained to show up in a certain way. It's not good or bad. It's just what was. So have compassion for yourself and then decide, okay, is this a season where I want to maintain, or is it a season where God is calling me to grow? And if either one of those, if you it's a season to maintain or it's a season to grow, I invite you to book a free consult call with me, and I will help you uncover and dive in what that looks like for you, right? Maybe maintaining looks like this, and you're like, yeah, but I really want to do this. And it's like, okay, but that's bringing in growing stuff. Do you want to do that, or do we want to just maintain for 8 weeks, right? I start asking you those questions. If you're in a season where you want to grow, I ask you the questions so it is manageable. So it's not just another way for you to deflect and try to keep the beach ball underwater by focusing on something else. It really is because it's a season to grow and allow all these things. So go to catholicgriefcoach.com, sign up for your free consult call, and I want to start talking about this because this is coming up in, I think it's the third week in September. A couple of fellow coaches and I are putting together a Catholic grief workshop. And so that is it's free. You sign up for that, you get access to the videos. And then if you want we have a few add-on bonus VIP things. There is a small fee for that. But I want to start talking about that. We don't have the site ready yet for people to start registering, but as soon as I do, I'll put it in the slot underneath this podcast episode. And I'm really excited for it. I think it's gonna be so amazing. Each of us are gonna do two talks. And so it's like 2 days where you get three videos each day where you can watch them at your convenience. So I'm pretty excited for that. I think it's gonna be really good. So that's all falling into place. Again, I don't have a website to send you guys to for that, but go to catholicgriefcoach.com and then be sure to get your free consult call and just stay in tune with when I start putting out the links for the workshop because that's going to be amazing as well. So, all right, you guys, as always, you are loved and we will take the next steps together. God bless.